In the red corner, we have the global titan, a golden-arched empire with over 40,000 locations worldwide, a marketing budget larger than some national GDPs, and a signature scent that can be detected from 3 blocks away. It is McDonald's, the undisputed king of fast food. But in the blue corner, wearing a crown made of puff pastry and smelling faintly of steak gravy, is the British underdog that refused to stay under. Greggs. For decades, these two have existed in parallel universes. One did burgers, the other did bakes. But in 2026, the lines have blurred. The battle for the British stomach has reached a fever pitch, and today we are diving deep into the ultimate showdown. Greggs versus McDonald's. We're going to look at the numbers, the menus, the culture, and the sheer logistics of how a bakery from Newcastle managed to knock a global superpower off its perch in the most important meal of the day. This isn't just about who makes a better breakfast, though we will certainly be getting into the nitty-gritty of the Sausage McMuffin versus the sausage roll. This is a story of British identity, economic shifts, and a massive corporate rivalry that affects where you spend your hard-earned pounds every single morning. We'll examine how Greggs leveraged the Value King title during the cost of living crisis and how McDonald's is fighting back with tech-heavy convenience hubs. I want you to stay with us until the very end of this video because once we've compared the prices, the calories, and the convenience, we're going to discuss the vital lessons every consumer and business owner can learn from this rivalry. It's a masterclass in adaptation, and you won't want to miss the final verdict. So, grab a coffee, whichever brand you prefer, and let's settle this once and for all. Is the UK a Macca's nation, or have we officially become the United Kingdom of Greggs? To understand where we are now, we have to look at how the landscape changed. As of early 2026, the stats are staggering. Greggs now operates over 2,700 locations across the UK, significantly outnumbering McDonald's 1,500 restaurants. But does quantity equal quality? Let's find out. If you're a commuter in the UK, the breakfast war isn't just a corporate rivalry, it's the most important decision of your morning. For decades, McDonald's held a monopoly on the morning rush. The sausage and egg McMuffin was the gold standard, a salty, structural masterpiece that defined fast food breakfast. But over the last few years, Greggs has mounted a concentrated offensive, and by 2026, they've turned the morning routine into a fierce battleground. Let's look at the morning value proposition. In 2026, a Greggs breakfast deal, usually a bacon or sausage roll and a hot drink, starts around £2.85. Compare that to a McDonald's sausage and egg McMuffin meal, which typically ranges between £4.50 and £5.89, depending on your location. For the price of one McDonald's meal, you could almost buy 2 breakfast rolls at Greggs. In a post-cost-of-living crisis Britain, that price gap is a chasm. Greggs isn't just selling food, they're selling the feeling of a shrewd choice. Then, there's the coffee factor. McDonald's uses 100% Arabica, Rainforest Alliance certified beans, and let's be honest, it's surprisingly good for the price. They've managed to shed the old dishwater coffee reputation, often outranking high street giants like Starbucks in blind taste tests for smoothness. However, Greggs has retaliated by making their coffee 100% fair trade and keeping the price points low. For many, the choice comes down to the milk. McDonald's offers that consistent, machine-perfected latte, while Greggs offers the bakery coffee vibe that pairs perfectly with a puff pastry. The logistics of the 11 a.m. cutoff is the final frontier. Both giants end their breakfast service at 11 a.m. sharp. McDonald's is famous for that heartbreaking moment where the menu flips to burgers at 11:01, but Greggs has a secret weapon, the all-day breakfast wrap and the legendary sausage roll. Because Greggs is a bakery first, you can get breakfast-adjacent food all day long. In 2026, convenience is king, but flexibility is the queen. While McDonald's has more drive-thrus, Greggs has more holes in the wall in train stations and high streets. The question is, do you want to stay in your car for a McMuffin or grab a roll while you run for the 8:15 to Waterloo? To understand why Greggs is such a formidable opponent for McDonald's, we have to talk about the golden child of British pastry, the sausage roll. In the UK, the Greggs sausage roll isn't just food. It's a cultural icon, a meme, and a national staple. While McDonald's has the Big Mac, a global standard of consistency, Greggs has a product that feels uniquely British. Selling roughly 1.5 million of them every single week, the sausage roll is the engine that drives the Greggs machine. The genius of the Greggs sausage roll lies in its simplicity and its anytime appeal. A Big Mac is a commitment. It's a meal that requires napkins, a seat, and a certain level of hunger. A sausage roll, however, is the ultimate phantom snack. You can eat it while walking, while driving, or while waiting for a bus, and it fits perfectly into that awkward gap between lunch and dinner. In 2026, Greggs has perfected the temperature game, ensuring that the bake cycle keeps products fresh without the need for the aggressive heat lamps you might find in a McDonald's holding bin. But the real turning point in this rivalry was the 2019 launch of the vegan sausage roll. It was a masterclass in marketing that McDonald's initially struggled to match. By leaning into the culture war and triggering a massive social media debate, Greggs transformed from a humble northern bakery into a savvy modern brand. It took McDonald's significantly longer to roll out the McPlant across all UK stores. While the McPlant is a technical marvel, developed with Beyond Meat to mimic the McDonald's flavor profile, Greggs had already captured the casual vegan market, proving they could innovate just as fast as a Silicon Valley-backed corporation. Then there is the secret menu of the North. In McDonald's, the menu is largely uniform from Penzance to Perth. If you walk into a McDonald's, you know exactly what you're getting. Greggs, however, maintains a level of regional identity. Depending on where you are in the UK, you might find a stottie, a London cheesecake, or a Scotch pie. This regionality gives Greggs a neighborhood feel that a global behemoth like McDonald's simply cannot replicate. McDonald's represents the world, but Greggs represents the high street. This emotional connection creates a brand loyalty that goes beyond mere calories. It's about a sense of belonging. For decades, McDonald's held the high ground of the British suburbs, the drive-thru. It was their fortress. If you were in a car and hungry, the Golden Arches were your only destination. But as we move through 2026, the landscape has shifted. Greggs has aggressively entered the drive-thru arena, marking a pivotal moment in the battle for convenience. What was once a burger-dominated territory is now being invaded by the scent of baking puff pastry. The McDonald's drive-thru is a masterpiece of industrial engineering. Every second is tracked, every dwell time is measured. They use AI-enhanced menu boards that suggest items based on the weather or the time of day. If it's a scorching summer afternoon in Manchester, the board will push McFlurries and iced lattes. If it's a rainy Tuesday morning, it's all about the double espresso. This level of data-driven efficiency is what makes McDonald's a global powerhouse. They don't just serve food, they manage traffic flow with the precision of an air traffic controller. Greggs, however, has taken a different approach to the drive-thru. While McDonald's focuses on the big meal, Greggs focuses on the quick fix. Their drive-thrus are popping up in retail parks and service stations where people don't necessarily want a 1,000-calorie burger meal, but they do want a steak bake and a tea for under £5. By 2026, Greggs has opened hundreds of these sites, targeting the white van man and busy parents who don't want to unbuckle three-car seats just to get a snack. It's a move that has directly cannibalized McDonald's morning and mid-afternoon snack trade. The real battle, however, is hidden behind the scenes: the supply chain. McDonald's relies on a massive, complex network of frozen logistics. Their fries are iconic because they are consistent across the planet. Greggs, conversely, operates a bake-off model. Most of their products are prepared in massive central savory plants, like the one in Balliol Business Park, Newcastle, and then finished in the ovens at the local shop. This allows Greggs to offer that just-out-of-the-oven warmth that a reheated burger simply cannot match. In the drive-thru lane, that smell of fresh baking acts as a powerful psychological lure, often convincing drivers to add a 4-pack of sausage rolls to their order at the last second. In 2026, the battle for the British stomach isn't just happening at the counter, it's happening on your smartphone. The digital frontier has become the primary way these two giants secure customer loyalty. For McDonald's, the MyMcDonald's app is a high-tech ecosystem. They've recently overhauled their reward system, moving toward a data-driven model that tracks your specific cravings. In March 2026, they updated the points thresholds, making that free Big Mac a bit more of a mountain to climb, requiring more points than before. But in exchange, they've introduced live activity tracking. Now, from the moment you hit order for a McDelivery, your lock screen shows a real-time countdown from the kitchen to your doorstep. Greggs, meanwhile, has taken a more neighborhood reward approach that has become a surprise hit with the Gen Z and millennial demographic. Their app is famously generous. You get a free hot drink just for signing up, and their stamp card system is refreshingly simple. Buy 9 coffees, get the 10th free. Buy 9 bakes, get the 10th free. In 2026, while McDonald's uses complex algorithms to push specific products, Greggs relies on the psychological drip feed of freebies. By partnering with both Just Eat and Uber Eats, Greggs has ensured that the Greggs fix is never more than 20 minutes away, even if you're sitting on your sofa in your pajamas. The real genius of Greggs' digital strategy is their Click Plus Collect feature. It's designed specifically to kill the high street queue. For many Brits, the sight of a 20-person deep line at 12:30 p.m. is enough to make them keep walking. But with the app, you can order your festive bake or steak bake while you're still 3 blocks away, walk past the queue, and grab your bag from the dedicated collection point. It's a VIP experience for the price of a sausage roll. McDonald's offers similar functionality, but their Click and Serve focuses on the car park, allowing you to park in a numbered bay and have a staff member bring the food out to you. A feature that has become the gold standard for parents with sleeping toddlers in the back. As we move further into 2026, AI is the new ingredient in the secret sauce. McDonald's is testing predictive ordering, which suggests your usual the moment your phone's GPS enters the geofence of a drive-thru. Greggs is retaliating with personalized news, sending you alerts when your favorite seasonal item, like the pumpkin spice latte or the vegan festive bake, returns to your local branch. It's a battle of Silicon Valley efficiency versus Newcastle-bred charm. And, as of now, it's too close to call. In an era of mandatory calorie labeling and increasing health consciousness, both Greggs and McDonald's have had to perform a delicate balancing act. They must keep the indulgent favorites that built their empires while convincing a more skeptical public that they offer balanced choices. By April 2026, the data shows a fascinating shift. McDonald's has leaned heavily into transparency and reformulation, while Greggs has focused on expanding their balanced choice range to compete with high street salad bars. McDonald's has undergone a quiet revolution. As of 2025, they reached a milestone where 89% of their core food and drink menu in the UK is 500 calories or under. They've swapped crispy chicken for grilled in many wraps and salads and have introduced sophisticated signposting on their digital kiosks. If you're looking for protein, a double quarter pounder might offer nearly 50 grams, but it comes with a heavy caloric and sodium price tag. McDonald's strategy in 2026 is clear. Give the customer the data and let them decide, while secretly trimming the salt and sugar behind the scenes to meet their plan for change goals. Greggs, on the other hand, faces a steeper uphill battle because their brand is synonymous with pastry, the literal definition of energy-dense. However, their 2026 Balanced Choice menu is surprisingly robust. A chicken salad baguette comes in at around 370 calories, and their fruit pots are among the lowest calorie items in the fast food world, starting at just 43 kilocalories. They've even managed to make the vegan sausage roll a healthier alternative to the original, with 308 calories and significantly less saturated fat. For Greggs, the goal isn't to be a health food shop. It's to be a bakery where you can grab a tuna crunch pasta just as easily as a Yum Yum. But there is a hype factor that numbers can't capture. In 2026, health isn't just about calories, it's about ingredients. McDonald's still struggles with the ultra-processed label that plagues global fast food chains. Even though their ingredients are often locally sourced, the perception of a burger as factory food remains. Greggs benefits from the bakery halo, the idea that because it's baked fresh, even if the dough was frozen, it's somehow more natural. Whether this is true or just clever branding is up for debate. But in the court of public opinion, a sandwich from a bakery often feels fresher than a burger from a grill. In the high-stakes game of 2026 fast food, the Value King title is the most coveted prize in the UK. For decades, McDonald's Savor menu was the sanctuary of the budget-conscious student and the late-night reveler. But inflation and rising supply chain costs have forced McDonald's to pivot. The days of the 99-pence cheeseburger are a distant memory. Today, McDonald's focuses on tiered value, where they use their app to offer personalized discounts to keep customers from straying. They've moved away from being the cheapest and are instead positioning themselves as the best value for a full meal. McDonald's loyalty program, MyMcDonald's Rewards, is the backbone of this strategy. By the time we hit mid-2026, the algorithm has become incredibly sophisticated. If you haven't visited in 2 weeks, the app might randomly gift you a £1.99 Big Mac offer. They are playing a long-term game. They know that once you're in the drive-thru for that discounted burger, you're likely to buy a full-priced Coke and a portion of fries. It's a loss leader strategy executed with surgical digital precision. Greggs, conversely, has leaned into the flat rate philosophy. They don't hide their value behind complex app algorithms or limited-time drops. The price on the board is the price you pay, and for the average Brit, that transparency is refreshing. Greggs has mastered the art of the bundle. Whether it's the breakfast deal or the lunch deal, a sandwich, drink, and a snack, the pricing is designed to feel like a no-brainer. In 2026, while a McDonald's medium meal might set you back £7.50, a Greggs lunch bundle often sits comfortably under £5. However, McDonald's is fighting back with their premium range. They've realized they can't beat Greggs on the bottom-end price of a sausage roll, so they are aiming higher. The Signature Collection and various Great Taste of the World promotions allow McDonald's to charge upwards of £8 for a single burger. They are selling an experience: brioche buns, thick-cut bacon, and gourmet sauces. Greggs has attempted to follow suit with artisan baguettes and sourdough pizzas, but the public perception remains. You go to McDonald's for a treat, but you go to Greggs for a bargain. This price of loyalty is what keeps the UK divided down the middle. In 2026, the success of a fast food brand isn't just about the food on the tray, it's about the vibe of the space. McDonald's and Greggs offer two fundamentally different psychological experiences. McDonald's has spent billions on its Experience of the Future redesign. Walking into a modern McDonald's feels like entering a high-tech transportation hub. It's all sleek wood laminates, touch-screen kiosks, and zone seating. They've successfully moved away from the plastic playground aesthetic of the 90s to something that feels more like a casual workspace. You'll see teenagers on dates, digital nomads on laptops, and families all sharing the same space, yet insulated by the ambient noise and high-backed booths. Greggs, however, offers the Great British Leveler. The vibe in a Greggs is inherently democratic and unpretentious. Whether you are a construction worker in a high-vis jacket, a lawyer in a pinstripe suit, or a student heading to a lecture, everyone stands in the same queue for a steak bake. There is a no-frills honesty to the Greggs atmosphere. By 2026, they have leaned into this utilitarian chic. Their newer stores feature cleaner lines and better seating, but they've carefully avoided becoming too posh. If McDonald's is a destination, Greggs is a pit stop, a reliable, warm, and familiar sanctuary on a cold Tuesday morning. Then there is the social vibe. Greggs has achieved something McDonald's could only dream of: meme status. In the UK, Greggs is seen as a lad and a legend. Their social media presence is witty, self-deprecating, and deeply rooted in British humor. They don't act like a corporate giant, they act like your funny mate from Newcastle. McDonald's, by contrast, feels like a global entity trying to fit in. While McDonald's has the Monopoly promotion, which creates a seasonal frenzy, Greggs has the Festive Bake launch, which feels more like a national holiday. One is a game, the other is a tradition. Finally, we have the evening shift. McDonald's has always owned the late-night trade, but in 2026, Greggs is extending its hours. By staying open until 8 or 9 p.m. in many city centers and offering pizza-sharing boxes, Greggs is challenging the idea that they are only for breakfast. They are trying to capture that post-work, pre-train window that McDonald's has dominated for decades. This shift is changing the vibe of the high street as the blue and yellow glow starts to compete with the golden arches long after the sun goes down. As we look toward the horizon of 2026 and beyond, the battle isn't just about who can sell the most food, but who can do it without costing the earth. Both Greggs and McDonald's have realized that the modern British consumer, especially Gen Z, is voting with their conscience as much as their wallet. McDonald's has launched its Plan for Change, a multi-decade strategy to reach net zero emissions across its UK and Ireland operations by 2040. They've made massive strides in their packaging, virtually eliminating single-use plastics from their restaurants and moving toward tray liners and burger wraps made from 100% recycled or certified sources. Greggs, however, has countered with the Greggs Pledge. This isn't just corporate jargon, it's a tangible commitment to making the world a better place. By 2026, Greggs has significantly expanded its outlet stores, specialized shops where day-old food is sold at a massive discount to prevent food waste and provide affordable options for lower-income communities. While McDonald's focuses on the global supply chain, Greggs focuses on the local social impact. They've also committed to having 1,000 Greggs breakfast clubs in primary schools across the UK, feeding children who might otherwise go hungry. This community-first approach builds a brand of loyalty that is incredibly difficult for a global giant like McDonald's to replicate. The future also looks green in terms of the menu. In 2026, we are seeing the rise of carbon labeling. Don't be surprised if your next Big Mac or steak bake comes with a score indicating its environmental impact. McDonald's is experimenting with regenerative farming for its British and Irish beef, attempting to lower the carbon footprint of its most popular item. Meanwhile, Greggs is doubling down on plant-based innovation. After the success of the vegan sausage roll and steak bake, 2026 sees them testing lab-grown meat alternatives and high-protein, insect-based fillings to stay ahead of the sustainability curve. Finally, the last mile of delivery is going electric. Both companies are pressuring their delivery partners, Just Eat, Uber Eats, and Deliveroo, to switch to electric bikes and vans. In many UK city centres, the iconic McDonald's and Greggs bags are already being ferried around by silent, emission-free couriers. The winner of this race won't just be the one with the best-tasting food, but the one who manages to integrate themselves into a greener, more ethical British lifestyle. So, we've reached the end of the ultimate British high street showdown. We've looked at the breakfast battles, the digital apps, the drive-thru expansion, and the cultural vibe that defines these two giants. But who actually wins? In 2026, the answer isn't a simple trophy. It's about market share and mind share. While McDonald's remains the global heavyweight champion of the full meal, Greggs has officially become the national champion of the daily habit. McDonald's continues to dominate the evening and late-night sectors, and their technological lead in drive-thru AI is still years ahead of the competition. However, Greggs has achieved the impossible. They have made themselves a utilitarian necessity. You don't just go to Greggs, you have a Greggs. By winning the price war during the most difficult economic years of the decade and maintaining a sense of humor, they have secured a place in the British heart that a global corporation, like McDonald's, for all its efficiency, finds hard to touch. Lessons learned. What can we learn from this rivalry? First, consistency is king. McDonald's proved that if a customer knows exactly what a burger will taste like in London, Glasgow, or New York, they will return for that reliability. Second, adaptability beats tradition. Greggs was a traditional bakery that could have died out with the old high street, but by embracing veganism, digital loyalty, and the snackification of the menu, they reinvented themselves for a new generation. Finally, community matters. Greggs's focus on breakfast clubs and local outlet shops reminds us that a brand that gives back to its neighborhood builds a level of loyalty that no amount of advertising can buy. The real winner in 2026 is actually the British consumer. We now have more choices, better digital tools, and higher quality fast food than ever before. Whether you're Team McMuffin or Team Sausage Roll, the competition between these two has forced both to be better, greener, and more efficient. It's a masterclass in how healthy competition benefits the person standing at the counter. Thank you so much for sticking with us through this deep dive into the UK's biggest food rivalry. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Greggs versus McDonald's, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have plenty more deep dives into the brands you love and the ones you love to eat coming up very soon. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode where we take a look at the battle for the British supermarket. See you in the next one.